They're the Brits who race to the rescue down under.
Multiple patients critical.
Everyday heroes saving lives.
5 miles to run.
Battling fires.
You don't go out now, too late.
It can be extremely dangerous.
And fighting crime.
Put your arm down.
Let's open the door.
From the big city to the outback.
Our policing district is bigger than the whole of the UK.
From the bush.
He's been crushed between one of those dingo diggers and a ute.
To Bondi Beach.
The search continues for a British tourist who hasn't been seen since he went for a swim.
You never quite know what you're in for or what's going to happen.
332, mate, on the head-in.
Very high impact. He's really quite critically injured.
Brits on blue lights under blue skies. Today down under, a British flying doctor is fighting to save a biker who's bleeding to death.
To try and stop this horrible pain, we're going to give you drugs and drift you off to sleep.
Humidity 92%. Rainfall last 10 minutes 2 millimetres.
A storm front is heading for Sydney. The air ambulance crew must meet it head on.
Thank you, 5 POB departing Bankstown, headed for the Hartley area.
100 miles away, a biker is fighting for life. Scottish flying doctor Caroline Macari's mission is to save him. But the weather could stop her.
Very little details, but as much as we know so far is that there's 2 cars and a motorbike involved.
Yeah, Rescue 24, we're looking at about 15:25, I think.
The sun's shining in Sydney, but the forecast for their destination is bad. Low cloud and rain.
Pyramid Control, Rescue 24. We're probably going to have to go in via Bathurst, into Bathurst area, and back to the scene is going to take us roughly 40 minutes, 40.
Copy, understood.
To get to the biker, they're crossing the Blue Mountains, towering up to 4,000 feet and wrapped in low cloud.
I have Rescue 2-1 that's also proceeding to the area. Their ETA to scene is roughly 15:13.
They're still 15 minutes away, and there's an update on the biker.
The motorbike is a single rider. Crew are currently assessing him. High speed thrown from the bike and he's currently in a ditch.
Copy. Got a reduced level of consciousness, so he's probably got a head injury and has definitely got a broken leg and arm, and his heart rate's very low. So it might be that he's losing blood somewhere.
Another chopper is on its way.
Rescue 24, Rescue 21, just confirming, Nathan, you think you're going to get in?
Rescue 21A firm, the weather's looking good from our side. There's a fairly high cloud base.
It's taken them 45 minutes to reach the scene, but the weather is at least improving.
Looks like we might have a bit of right to left slope, but we'll assess it on the ground.
Yeah, 10 degrees for elements, pretty good. You have the comment.
Roger that, you got 100 to run, you're clear of the trees, check left.
They're trying to land as close as possible to the biker.
Clear ground right, you got 50 to run. Speed line road, sounds good, mate.
The other choppers arrived first. Now Caroline's going to take over the victim's care.
There's the orange boys.
British expat Russell Brown was out for a ride on his high-powered bike. He was only 15 miles from home.
He's had at least one contact with a car and wound up in a ditch. He had an unrecordable blood pressure and radial pulse, obvious open femur fracture with quite a lot of blood loss.
He has very serious leg injuries.
But no obvious pain in the pelvis.
Yeah.
He's also got a right humeral fracture. Left lower limb seems intact.
Yeah.
He's losing blood fast. Medics have already started trying to replace it, but it's proving difficult.
This is his first unit of blood going through at the moment, and we've got a second unit of blood coming up in a second. We've had to put the tourniquet back up on this leg, just because we're not getting good hemostasis with compression. He has come up with that first unit to a systolic of 110.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the GCS like now?
GCS is 14.
Pretty pale and sweaty, isn't he?
So what happened, like, is that a big wound or what?
It's about this long and there's multiple compounds between mid-femur and mid-tip fib.
Have you ever seen him move it?
No. I've seen him move this leg quite a bit.
Yeah.
He was happily moving that. He did have quite a bit of pain when we put the teapot on. So he can move this foot, but this foot's...
Never has been seen.
No, and he hasn't had a pulse in it throughout.
We have to control the bleeding, so let's go a little tighter with the tourniquet. Carolyn, you happy with that?
Yeah.
Russell's in critical condition. He needs a blood transfusion. Even with that, there are real fears he may not survive a long flight to hospital in Sydney. At the side of a country lane on the edge of the Blue Mountains, Scottish flying doctor Caroline Macari is hard at work. She's fighting to save British-born biker Russell Brown's life.
We want to make sure your organs are fine, okay, sweetheart? So, to try and stop this horrible pain, we're going to give you drugs and drift you off to sleep, and we'll look after you and get you to hospital, okay, my love? I know it's pretty scary, but everything's fine.
She's going to anaesthetise Russell for his flight to hospital in Sydney, 90 miles away.
Tongue, have a look.
Keep that there in case.
Russell's right leg is shattered, and he's losing a lot of blood.
I've got the bougie.
You got the bougie?
Yeah.
It's gone through the cords.
They're sliding a tube down Russell's windpipe so they can control his breathing.
CO2.
Russell is now unconscious.
He's pretty unwell. He's losing a lot of blood from his leg. He's had quite a large blood transfusion already, so we're trying to rush him to the hospital to try and get that dealt with properly. We just had to put him for pain relief, put him in a coma and breathe for him. He was in a lot of pain and he was feeling pretty unwell with it.
Now the race is on to get their patient to hospital. But the weather is still against them.
Clouds sitting on top of the hills and below the hills, and even now it's probably only 600 or 800 feet. We've got a thunderstorm to the north of us, we've got another one to the south of us.
His blood pressure is a real problem. I think it's just massive amount of bleeding. He's got a huge wound on his thigh bone and a lot of bleeding from that, despite tourniquets even being placed on there. He's already had 4 units of blood before we even got here, so that's the main thing right now, is just trying to get him to the hospital where we can help deal with it properly. He might have bleeding elsewhere as well that we're not seeing right now, so potentially his pelvis. But yeah, right now his blood pressure is a real problem.
It's 90 miles to hospital in Sydney. 40 minutes in good weather.
Brewery's getting light. Just back up this direction, actually. I want to keep an eye on him.
Our blood pressure's 95.
Oh, no worries, we're going to put another blood up, eh?
Russell has now been given 5 pints of blood, half the total in the human body.
Bath is fine. I can't see the left upper quadrant, but the right and pelvis is fine. I'm getting a bad view over there, but otherwise negative.
Is there anything I can do to make this better over here for you? Or?
Well, his arm's in the way.
They're fighting to keep Russell's blood pressure up.
You get spleen easily, just can't find that kidney. Get the right angle.
They're using ultrasound to try to pinpoint the source of the bleeding.
Don't seem to be getting on top of it, and we've stopped the bleeding.
Yeah, well, we think we have.
Westmead Hospital, good afternoon. We have a approximately 40-year-old male, high-speed motorcycle versus car, ejected into a ditch. He has a large laceration in his entire upper right leg. At the time of injury, he had nil circulation. To control hemorrhage that location, he's also got 2 arterial tourniquets applied to his right leg. He's currently obviously sedated, ventilated. We're going to be on your pad in about 10 minutes' time.
There's no improvement in Russell's condition.
This is his 7th unit of blood. That blood pressure is not coming up. So it's either blood loss or it's something where like a cardiac contusion or something. I mean, he's obviously losing blood. You could easily use a unit in the arm and multiple out the leg. If there's femoral up the road, then he's going to have exploded a lot of blood out of it.
We're transmitting again. Aeromed Control, Rescue 24.
Aeromed Equal Control, replying Rescue 24.
Thanks, we have a patient on their 7th unit of blood. Still got blood pressure 95 on 63, heart rate 142. We are heading into Westmead ED. They already know we're coming. I just need someone to give them a call if they don't mind and ask them to make sure they've got some blood ready to go.
They're approaching Sydney. Russell's condition is so serious, doctors are being asked to send more blood to the hospital landing pad.
Thank you, we've arrived, Westmead, and thank you to yourself.
Caroline's patient is fighting for his life. The team's experience has kept him alive long enough to reach intensive care. Now, it's up to the doctors at the Westmead Hospital. Russell goes straight for emergency surgery. He survives, but his injuries are so serious, he's still in hospital 2 months later.